end of July and early August, the Presbyterian Multicultural Network and the Office of Multicultural Ministry, the denomination, held a national conference in Fort Worth, and it was wonderful to be there, and it was especially wonderful to have Christian Wright and Maggie Fleming also attending. So Maggie is going to bring a report to share with you some of what we experienced and learned at this conference. Maggie?
First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to attend and to represent Port Street. It was really a wonderful thing to experience, and many of the people that I met there were present here during the General Assembly, and so they were familiar with our church and many of you, and had wonderful things to say about their experience here. It was an honor to receive. Some of you may not have known that we also received a $5,000 grant or an award for an initiative that's coming out of the Membership Development Committee in touching and outreaching our international students. So we were very excited about that, and it was truly an honor and a pleasure to be there to receive it on behalf of Fort Street. The theme of the conference was journeying and awakening into God's diverse world and facing challenges. We're all aware that we are facing many challenges, and we are not alone. The theme for many of the churches and the people that were there representing other churches across the country are experiencing many of the same things that we're experiencing today. So they were talking about how can we make these things change for the good, and what can we do? So for me, it was really an eye-opener, and it came at a very good time. It spoke to me in many ways, and hopefully by sharing some of these things with you, I can pass that message on to you as well. That's my goal. They were talking in the pre-conference workshops about designing workshops for the multicultural church. And they discussed the declining church membership across the board. And the conference was, how do we invite members to accept changes that we as congregations must face? Seasoned congregations are resistant to change in many ways. Perhaps they're grieving losses, loss of a spouse, loss of a family member, friends. To come to church and to see things changing, that also causes grief for many, because it's a change from what they have been familiar with for so many years. Some of you may be feeling that. Instead of focusing on the sacred space, in order to move forward, we need to focus on the sacred journey. We all come with baggage, some good, some not so good. I'd like to say a quote from JFK: "We must celebrate our past, but we also must be awakened to our future." Paul Hopkins, a motivational speaker and author, stated, "We are the ones. This is the 11th hour. We here at Fort Street must tell the people where we live, work, shop, and live our lives. We need each other, and we must stop our hesitation and arrest and move forward." We need to know our garden, and in that, it means know your community. Create your community, and do not look outside of yourself for a leader. Get involved. You are a leader. Do not be afraid and hold on to the shore. We must know the river in order to find the ocean. Our children must learn from someone. Let it be you and let it be me. If we want to see better, we must do better. A journey is not a journey unless you stop moving. When you're on this journey, we must collaborate. Think about working with others, seek justice and protect the oppressed. Build a community beyond what is expected. Do you want Do what you need to do without trying to change people or their beliefs, but share your love with them. They talked about opening the doors of our church for evening services. That's something that we might consider. Many other things, which I'd be delighted to share with any of you if you have any questions. Please see me afterwards. The days of institutional mainline religion as we know it is changing. 25% of Americans that attend service once to twice a month. 15% of the millennials say living a religious life is important to them. We cannot have a new world until we have the end of the old as we know it. The majority of Christian youth are not white. Millennials, 26% of the 18 to 29-year-olds are white. 9% mainline Protestant. 28% are Christian Americans of color. The remaining 63% do not attend church. Models for the multicultural ministries programs. I wanted to share something with you, which is 1,001 worshiping communities, which was something that began in June of 2012 at the 220th General Assembly. They declared a commitment to a church-wide movement that results in the creation of 1,001 worshiping communities in the next 10 years. This is not 1,001 new churches. This is 1,001 new worshiping communities. At a grassroots level, new worshiping communities are joining this site to create a presence and to connect with one another. The Presbyterian Mission Agency is coming alongside to fan those flames of this new movement, to inspire and equip the wider church to participate in the creation of 1,001 worshiping communities in the next 10 years. If you'd like to have more information about that, I can give you a website. Building churches is not the traditional way of building churches within the walls of our church, but out in the field. We need to go out to those who are lonely, lost, and in pain. Walking together and working to unite to connect. Evangelistic experience is in and outside of our church building. The building does not represent or identify the people and should not be used as a barrier. The owner is God, and we are the stewards. We talked about sharing our church house with other churches in need of a church home to meet, and they would have their own space, we would have ours. And we would come together once a month to celebrate God's love together. In closing, we must meet in the valleys and not on the mountain tops to form missions with others in our community and world. We do not want to be a church that lives in a gated community. I have something here, and I brought extras, which I put on a table out in the Great Hall. And I know that you can't really see this from where you're sitting, but it's a photo of a bridge in the middle of nowhere. There's a river beside it, and it said, "Who moved the river?" A devastating storm changed the river's course, leaving a well-built bridge that no longer serves its purpose. I want you to think about that. I want you to please take a moment just to look at this. God is not the God of temples. He is the God of the people. We are God's temple. Imago Dei was an expression that was used, which really touched my heart. It is a term, a Latin term, and it says God is with us. Every point of contact that we make in God's name leaves a trace. It is the fingerprint of God. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Many things to think about and information you can gather more of in the Great Hall.